My new book is called Business Without the Bullshit. The subtitle is 49 Secrets and Shortcuts You Need to Know, and it's a field guide to corporate life. I think that companies have become a lot less tolerant of some of the bad habits that people get into in the corporate world. A good example of that would be corporate speak. I think that there's a limited amount of tolerance for that, for the kind of buzzwordery. I think people are so inundated with information now that it's become a premium to be able to communicate clearly and concisely. Well, actually, whenever I go to a trade show like this, I look at the booths and I see two things commonly. One is statements that are so generic that nobody would, they don't differentiate them at all, or a long list of features and functions where it's almost impossible for a customer or someone who's not intimately familiar with the technology to understand why they would even want that. But what is very interesting is that I was able, while I was talking to some of the people at the conference here, to get them to start thinking about what they do from a customer's viewpoint. I stood in one place and said, okay, I'm a customer without your product. And then the other place says, now I'm a customer with your product and I'm happy. Why am I happy? And when you state it like that, all of a sudden they were able to come up with a one-sentence line for what their product was going to do for the customer. And what I found is that almost every sales message that's sent out falls into those two categories. It's either a string of biz blab or a list of features and functions. And I can almost always reduce it down to one statement of what the customer is going to get, one statement of why this is a different company, why they do it differently, and why you should hire them. Primarily, it's because they have an inside looking out perspective. They think so much about their product and they think so much about what they're doing that they lose track of what someone who would buy the product would look at, would see it. And then they end up hanging out with a lot of other vendors, and the vendors who they're hanging out with think about it the same way. And so you get an entire culture in high tech that has a lot of trouble describing why you would want to buy what they've got to offer. In business-to-business selling, you must show how what you're selling is going to help them get their goals accomplished. And what would it mean for them to have your product? Well, how would it mean in terms of what they're going to accomplish? And when you look at things that way, the specific functions and features of the product that you're selling aren't really very relevant. But what you really have to do is show people how you can make them more successful. Salespeople, I think, have to be very good at articulating that. And primarily because I don't think they're getting that much support from marketing. What I see a lot is that the marketing people have this inside looking out, but the salespeople kind of look at the messages that the marketing people are writing and sort of scratch their heads and go, gee, I guess. And then they try to write their own sales message on their own. That's very common. Selling is so funny. It's never about you. And so many people make it about them. It's never about you. It's always about the customer. It's so funny to watch people trap back to talking about my firm is industry leading and blah, 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 blah. Or I'm excited to tell you about, it's not about you. It's just not. It's about the customer and how they see you or perceive you and how they're trying to sell to their own customers. Totally different things.